Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Making Mannequin Heads into Planters. Purple hair. It's the purple hair edition. Yeah, so this happened this past weekend. Folks at work haven't seen it yet.
Patrick,
Yeah,
cocktail time in 10.
alrighty. Cocktails in 10, yeah. So as you can see behind me, oh, look at the walls. Can you see the walls? They no longer are just bare insulation. Finished up the drywalling, rough drywall for the basement here. Just now, actually, on this side, I've got anywhere there's insulation on the ceiling or there are ducts. I put up drywall. This is not from putting in drywall. This is from trying to use an inflatable kayak yesterday on a beautiful lake, and I was fine on the way out, and the darn thing like stretched or whatever, and it was quite the struggle on the way home, let me tell you. And slicing yourself on rubber, basically, is not a pleasant thing. Anyway, so we're back to it with this blue lady with the black hair. And so working on, I moved the light a little bit and I'm not really that thrilled with it. But working on, there we go. Get her braced up better. Braiding her hair and getting her hair all ready. And so we're going to continue just braiding hair today. I think that's going to be basically the majority of this episode. And I will talk and braid and talk. So what I've done is, as you see, I've done the smaller braids so far. And then what I'm going to do next, though, is I am going to do larger braids as we get further back. So just running my fingers through this is synthetic hair, running my fingers through it. Thankfully, Larry vacuumed over here. He just finished up. That's why I thought I would start recording. So it's not such a complete, utter mess around me. And I figured, hey, I can do a recording. So I'm going to get a much larger clump of hair this time. I'm going to do the same braid. Or should I plait it? So I've got 4 braids on this side. I went ahead and did a couple more off camera. I didn't think you'd really mind that much. So I've got 4 individual braids there. Maybe I'll do one large one and then one large one down the back. And then I'm going to go, so I'm going to do these. There we go. Ooh, that's a pleasant sound. As I take the hair. Okay, yeah, so this will be a good bigger braid. And then I'll do either one large one or I'll do a actual oh, you know what I could do? I know what I'm going to do. So I've got 4 small ones. I'm going to make this into 3 large ones, and then I'll braid the 3 large ones all together. These I'm going to get up and out of the way. I have my little small ones here because I don't want to incorporate them in what I'm doing, because I've got the small one on this side. That can tuck up in there. I've got these 2, and then I'll do 1, 2, and 3. What's interesting is I can see where the hairline is going down. If you can see here, the hairline is now descending. It was going across and now it descends. So that'll tell me with the other side where I start taking hair for the big braid. So I will take hair all the way down and leave the center big braid in the back with whatever's going across, because it's cut like this, then down at an angle, and then all the way across, and then up at an angle, and then around. So if you think 3-dimensionally, it's very symmetrical. I mean, it's perfectly symmetrical. So I'm just going to do a quick big braid here. 1, 2, 3. Try to get them as even as possible. My first clump is always, oddly enough, smaller than the other 2. when I first choose hair. So then you got to redistribute a little bit, try to feel the weight of them, and jump right in. All right, bigger braid. We'll go faster as well. Now you'll see that I pull all the way down, usually just on my right side. I will pull, what it does is it gets rid of those tangly hairs that are in between. And let's tighten her up. Yeah, this way I can, what's cool about doing the hair like this is now I can suddenly actually see her neck, which is also painted. And I did the heavy paint so it ran down the face, but it also did it on the neck. Now the other thing is, as you're going while braiding, I know who knew that you were going to get a tutorial and brief tutorial in braiding. So if I don't have like bobby pins, which I don't have in my house, or I don't have elastics, because obviously with the length of my hair, there's no elastics. Ooh, haha, how bright that is. Gotta love it. What am I gonna hold? Oh, Lordy. Oh, I just lost my braid. All right, go back a few. Means I'm getting too far down. What am I gonna hold all the strands? Also, how tight are you tugging? Well, this is not a real person, so I'm really not worried about tugging pretty tight. So I'm getting down to where, boom. How are you gonna hold them together? Tape it while the glue dries. I'm gonna tape above where I glue. So I'm gonna put it on, I'm gonna sandwich it tightly in the tape and then tape the tape to the tape. Stick the tape to the tape. So that's going to keep it from coming unraveled. See, now I'm going to apply my glue. Put on my safety glasses. I know you probably think it's odd that I put on safety glasses with the glue, but I do not want any splatter ever going in my eyeballs. And my eyeballs don't want it either. So I'm going to apply glue below the tape. I'm going to try not to get it on the tape because I really don't want the tape as part of the glue, as part of my hair in there. Try to get all the rest of the extraneous hairs out of there, and I'm going to put a little dollop just above the glue. And then I'm going to set it aside. I have a pair of wire clippers or whatever. I think they're wire snippers. Anything that's heavy, got wire snippers. I'm putting it over here on the table and putting the heavy part on them so that it doesn't go down and stick itself to all the other braids that are there, or just set it on the table and stick it to the table. So I've got the hair on the table, it's draping off, and the, oh good gosh, good golly, there we go. And they are holding it onto the table. So now I'm going to do the center braid, the larger center braid, get this all up out of the way. Tie these up and out. Now I'm going to try to find the flat bottom line, disconnect it from the rest, just take this big old clump here in the center of her head. That hair is still, that fresh braid is still drying over on the other side, so I'm good to go there. Now, where is this going to be? It's going to be outside, so it doesn't have to be exact. Get this hair out of the way so that I can see what I'm doing. Pull this down. I want to clean this up a little bit, but yeah. So my bottom line goes at an angle, straight angle, right? So get down to the corner, both sides. That's where I'm pulling from. I know that I'm pretty centered, and then I want to clean this up a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, obviously, because it's going outside. And these guys are really in the way. Well, that's fine, I can work around them. Maybe if I pull them, oh, here we go. Stick it under that side. Stick this under this side. I know you can barely see because it's black, but I'm black. But that's okay, the dark background. So yeah, so this weekend was very fun. my sister and her husband and my nephew Trent, who's about to go up to college. Good for him. It's exciting. He's going to Bates. It's just amazing to me to think that he's that old, because I haven't aged in about 20 years. In my mind, I haven't aged in probably 50 years, but well, maybe 40. So I'm just trying to get the nest out of here. It's just not an actual nest, but wow, is that funky. I don't care if I pull out hairs. It's not a person, so it's kind of counterintuitive. You want to be like, oh, I've got to be gentle. I might hurt the person because I'm combing somebody else's hair. Well, yep. No, I'm combing a mannequin's hair. And if I pull out a bunch of hair, I don't really care because there's a lot of hair in this puppy. And there's a clump of synthetic hair coming out. There we go. That's good enough. If I can get the comb through it like that, I am good to go. Yeah, so we had a great time. It was really nice. We met him over at a lake, beautiful lake right here in Connecticut. It's only less than 40 minutes away from our house. Oopsies. Oopsies. There we go. And absolutely gorgeous. And met them. They have inflatable kayaks, and Shanine got an inflatable, I don't know what you call it. It's where you stand up on a board type of thing. One of those things. It's like a paddle board, I think is what they call it. Anyway, so she has one of those that she's never actually used because Trent has used it the entire time. It's amazing that he's 18. But, so he fell in love with it and he's been using it. So we met them, got out on the water. I had a great time going out because my kayak, it's a single person kayak. And it was the first time I've ever used mine. I bought it like 2 years ago for Lee and I for Christmas, I think it was, or Hanukkah, whatever, and for holidays. And never used it. Lee's an indoor cat, so I was just being hopeful. And he enjoyed kayaking when he was at Mom and Dad's up in Vermont in real kayaks, plastic kayaks. And Shanine was like, oh, you should see this great inflatable kayak that I got. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. It'd be so easy to take with us and so easy to use, and it'd be fun. And she said, it feels stable, because I was like, it's not going to be very stable. And she's like, no, it's great, and blah, 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 blah. It's wonderful, blah, 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 blah. Well, watch her in it, and it's great. Well, so the first time you use them, because they're rubber, you inflate them, and they have to stretch. So going out for like a few hours on it the first time, probably not the best idea or a good idea even remotely, because the dang thing stretched halfway through it. So what happens when it stretches? It gets very stretchy or like soggy feeling underneath you. And you start kind of losing your, not buoyancy, but you get lower in the water. Let's just put it that way. So not only did I get lower in the water, I got more and more water in it, which was not helpful. And I was going against the wind on the way back. There we go. I've got my third big braid in the middle. That came out pretty nice. I glued above and below the tape, taped it, glue above and below. You'll see when I put the glue on it, I do put it all the way around because I want to make sure, and then I'll take this. I didn't do this on the last one, but this is really thick. I want to make sure that it is through and hitting all the fibers that are in there. There we go. Just use my trusty dusty thing. All right, let's do the other large one on this side. Or should I start from the front? Debate, debate, debate. What do you think? Start from the front, start from the back. I think in order to balance it, I should start from the front, do my 4 in the front to match up the other side, and then come back to the back. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because then I will be able to portion my her up in her, the her up in her, a little bit better, figure out where the segments are going to go. we go. Crank right through that. Yeah, come on. Big old knot at the end. I know you're supposed to start from the end. Now, why do I know that? Because I used to have really long hair. And I found out from a friend of mine who also had very long hair, and I was living with her at the time, and she's like, oh God, don't start from the middle of your hair. Start from the end and then work your way up, which works if you've got the patience to do it. And when it's on your own head and you're trying not to tear all of your hair out. So yes, I used to have very long hair. That's when I was living in the Midwest. Had long hair a few times actually, and I liked it each time, and then it just gets annoying. It's like it's a period of time that it works great and it's wonderful, and then it gets down to the middle of your back, and you're like, oh, I'm done, because it's just a lot of maintenance. There's a lot to it, and with guys, it wasn't like anything that was even remotely a thing to do when I was doing it. The only people who had long hair were bikers, if you will. It was kind of like this niche thing, right? Which is cool, but I was not a biker. But there just wasn't this mentality of like, how do you take care of your hair when it's long? Because there was no internet back then. I know there was a world without internet at one point. It happened, actually, it existed for a very long time without the internet. So it's weird to think about now. But you may remember those days. You may not have ever been born in those days. Whichever, I love you the same. But yeah, so figuring out how to do this stuff was like, could be a challenge at times. It really was. Oh, I gotta resegment this. This is not going well. All right, so maybe a little smaller grouping of hair. There we go. A little smaller clump. There we go. Let's resegment. Do. 1, 2, 3. Right over left, right over middle, left over middle. Come on. You don't get to be part of it. Right over middle, left over middle. You really, really, really want to be part of this game, but we're not playing with you. Right over middle. What a mess. Come on. Left over middle. There's a lot of extra hair. There we go. Right over middle, left over middle, right over middle, left, and I keep pulling in a lot of hairs. Right over middle, there we go. That clump is much larger than the other two. So what I'm going to do, since I got one clump that is like, it's in the middle right now, like significantly larger, like twice as thick as the other two. There we go. I'm going to pull it in to the smallest clump, and you don't even notice. I'm just incorporating it and evening out the groupings of hair, or the clumps, or whatever you want to call it, the strands. There we go. Right over middle, left over middle, and I'm going to need to do that again because this right group is shorter, oddly enough. So over the middle, go over the middle with the right to the left, and it's amazing because it just blends in. You never even notice it. There we go. There we go. And I apologize if I was in the middle of a train of thought and boring you to death with it and have now forgotten where I was talking about. Oh, before the internet. Yeah, so it's like having long hair. And like, I remembered what the hell I was talking about. That doesn't happen that often. It was very difficult to figure these things out. And it's not like I was brought up knowing how to have long hair. Just because it just wasn't that it. And so I had to figure it out. Thankfully, my female friends who had long hair were able to guide me somewhat and tell me about super conditioners that they use that helped. Oh my God, that helped a lot. Yeah, when Lee and I first met, I had long hair. I didn't have like super long hair on that time, but I had long hair. I've been growing it out for a while. I'm gonna just tape the end on this, keep it all together. Not a lot of tape, at least it'll keep it clumped. I'm going to tape after. There we go. I think this is a better way to do it. All right, so I'm changing the way that I do the gluing. So I just glued as far down as I could, and then I'm just going to tape the ends together. And I think this may actually be a better way to do it, because I can put the tape further away from, and I'm going to just pop them underneath that handle so they stay out of my way. Oh, actually, these need to go over here. Further away from the glue. So now I'm going to go with the next clump. I'm getting less and less hair that it's getting in the way, which is great, which is exactly what I want. Because it means that the hair I'm working with and that hair I have left behind is going to be the correct amounts. So I want 4 of these thinner ones. That's actually significant. Well, it's not significantly thicker, but it is thicker than the ones on the other side. So I'll go thin on these 2, or these 3. And that way, my last braid will be about the same as what I wanted. There we go. Get rid of some of that. Go with a nice thin braid. Make sure it's all coming from approximately the same area. Try to get it so that I will actually be able to have separate groupings of hair. All the clumps of brains that are coming out. Her head stuffing, if you will, which is, I think, pretty much brains, right? It's equivalent. Do you agree? I agree. I think so. Head stuffing. There's a word for you. You got some good head stuffing in you. Good brains on you. Your head stuffed with some major brains. Anyway, sorry, I went a little loony there. Yeah, so braiding, and let's see if I can get these puppies done. Jeez. The other hairs really do, especially in this synthetic, really do like to come in and try to be part of the party. Of course, it doesn't help that I have this big old Band-Aid on my finger, but whatever. Here we go. I know I'm not the fastest braider. There are some people who can just be like, lee, 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 lee. It's fascinating. Not something I can do. It's like when I knit or crochet. So my fiber art wise, I'm not, oh no. Oh God, I got caught on my Band-Aid. My Band-Aid, the sticky part's coming apart a little bit here and there. Drop my shoulders, I'm getting tense from doing so much braiding all at once. I don't want to rush it, but I also don't want to spend the rest of my life sitting here braiding. Crocheting, knitting. I very much enjoy crocheting. I think it's because I know it's because it's like more freeform than knitting is to me. I'm actually really good at crocheting compared to knitting. Knitting I've really never gotten comfortable with. I've done it a lot. I've forced myself. If anything that music has taught me, practice, like good practice, makes better. I've gotten better, certainly, at knitting. But it is not my go-to. It's kind of like me and piano. Piano will never be an instrument that is comfortable for me. It's just how it is. I struggle. I've always struggled with piano, and I always will. I'm fine with one hand. I'm fine with the other hand. When both hands start to go, as we've discussed before, it's a train wreck. So the same thing goes for knitting for me. I've tried it. I've given it the time. I've given it the practice. I've watched lots of videos, so I've tried different techniques and everything like that. And especially when I compare it to crochet, it just never has hit a real comfort zone for me. I know you're like, why do you crochet? Well, for me, crocheting, and this is, I think, the reason that I'm just not that sold on knitting, is it's very relaxing to me, and I can see things. I like making things. I like, having products at the end. And I don't mean like something I can sell necessarily, as much as something that I find fun and cool. I mean, and the deal is, it's like you can crochet your heart out, and then you're kind of like, well, what do I do with it now, right? You've probably done that with crocheting or knitting or sewing or making mannequin heads into planters. What do I do with it now? Well, you use it out in your yard, you enjoy it yourself, and it's a conversation thing, and it's just the process is super fun. So it's not necessarily about the product. Everybody's so product oriented. I've never really, I know I have a very firm understanding and not a belief, but a conviction that I know to be true, that I hold very, very dear, which is that an amazing product comes from an amazing process. I usually see it the other way around. A great process creates an amazing product, which means that if you can focus on the process and enjoy the process, your product is naturally going to be amazing. With crochet, what I find is that the process is very soothing to me because it's more organic. It's not just straight lines like what knitting is. Now with knitting, what I really enjoyed was doing like cable and stuff like that, where you get three-dimensional. That's the other thing about crochet for me, is it's extremely sort of organic. I use that word too much. It's sort of this one of these things where you can go in you can literally go in any direction when you're crocheting. That's what's disconcerting to a lot of people, is that you can go super 3D, like any direction when you're crocheting with stuff, with yarn, or I can crochet with fabric, and I can really get wild and sculptural with it, or do it, make a sweater. It's amazing. You can make garments with it, but you can also do artwork with it. You can create, and they do this with knitting too. I can't imagine doing knitting, but where the omigami or whatever those called, the little critters, just incredible. That's not really my thing, is making stuffed animals with them, but I love them. I think they're so cool, and they're so creative, and they're adorable, and I have a great appreciation for them. It's not my thing to make. I just kind of like, and this freaks Lee out a lot, I like making stuff and then like just pulling it out and unmaking it. It's not like a permanent thing. It's like, oh my God, you just did all that, and why are you taking it? I'm like, well, I don't know. It's not really, doesn't bother me. I'll just start over. But for me, it's just an easier process for me to understand and to relate to. This is going much better with the taping at the bottom. So, I don't know. It took me a while. I struggled, where I really, was like, I should know how to knit. Mom's an amazing knitter. Why can't I knit and enjoy it? Why do I struggle so much? And then I went, man, who cares if I struggle with it? Mom's an amazing knitter. It doesn't mean that I need to be an amazing knitter. Crochet is just my jam. And then I also love weaving. Weaving for me is, oh my God, that's freaking like mind-blowingly cool. All right, so I've got 3 of those guys done right now. I'm working on the 4th, and then I'll do the other large braid, and then I'm going to leave it. All right, come on. That was a big old clump. And I'm right at 30 minutes, so I need to wrap this up. All right. So she is going to be pretty much, finished. So I'm going to actually leave this until next week. Or not next week, but my next session with you all. I've got 2 more braids to do, 1 small, 1 large, and then the triple large in the back. And I'm going to leave her here. All right. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. I hope a wonderful week. I can't believe I left my glasses on the entire time. I get into what I'm doing and I don't pay attention. Oh, he's got wonky glasses. There he goes. All right. I have a wonderful week. Put out more of that love into the world. Subscribe and like if you like it. Also, remember, you can always watch it on 1.25 or 1.5. Put on the closed captions there, enabled. And just have a great time and love out there. All right? Love yourself too. You deserve it. Bye.